Hello, everybody. So, my name is Matt V, and I was incarcerated in California from 2000 to 2006. And today I'm going to be talking about what it's like in jail. So, there's a couple things to note. First thing to note is the difference between jail and prison. So, jail is the place that you go to, that you remain at while you're fighting your case. So, when you get arrested, in the United States, you still have to go to court and potentially go to trial, and they have to find out whether you're guilty or not. And so during that time, while you go to your court dates, which could take weeks, months, I've even seen trials last year sometimes for very serious cases, you remain in jail. So you go back and forth from the jail to the court in cuffs and everything, and you're fighting your case. Okay, that's jail. Whereas prison is the place you go to after you've been sentenced. So jail is like, okay, you're fighting your case. If you happen to be not guilty, then of course they let you go. You're free to go. If you end up being found guilty, then that's when eventually they'll transfer you to a prison. So that's the difference between jail and prison. Jail, fighting your case. Prison is where you go after you've been convicted. Okay? So the second thing to note is, like I said, I was incarcerated from 2000 to 2006, and 2006 was 14 years ago, right? 14? No, 16 years ago. 16 years ago. Okay, and that being said, just as things change out in regular society over time, with technology, with whatever, right? Things potentially change in jail and prison too. And so some of the things that I may tell you don't apply anymore, like I said, because things change. A lot of the stuff will probably be pretty similar, but just keep that in mind, that I was locked up a long time ago. And then one more small thing, or maybe not small, is you also have to understand that jail and prison can vary widely between city to city, county to county, state to state, and especially country to country. So I obviously have no idea where you're at, what country or state or wherever you live at. And like I said, I was locked up in California, in the United States. And so jail in New York or in Zimbabwe or wherever is going to potentially be different, especially in different countries. It's going to be way different. Okay, so these stories are of me and my time from 2000 to 2006, basically. Okay, that being said, so you get to jail, and one of the first things they do is put you through intake. And so intake is where you get stripped down of all your clothes. And before I go on, you got to understand that once you get arrested, especially after you get convicted, your rights kind of go out the window, or a lot of your rights go out the window. So where, generally you have a right against, to protect you against unlawful search and seizure, and, your right to bear arms, all that goes out the window once you go to jail. A lot of your normal rights get revoked. They could search you whenever they want. You don't have a right to a gun anymore. You obviously don't have a right to leave when you want. And so you start to see that right away. You get to the jail, and they tell you, strip down and take off all your clothes, because they got to make sure you don't have any weapons. And then they give you your jail garb, your jail clothes. Okay, so that's what you do. You strip down all your clothes, and they might do a quick little body search. So for one thing, for example, what they'll do is they'll have you that's good that I don't have a shirt on. This is kind of perfect. So yeah, you take your clothes off. Maybe they have you spread your arms out, something like that, so they can make sure you don't have anything. Because people are trying to hide, say a razor blade. You could hide a razor blade or something like that, or drugs. You could easily hide a little pack of drugs in your armpit. And so, they want you to spread out your arms, your legs, all this kind of stuff to see, they'll give you a little pat down to make sure you don't have anything on you, right? The cops are going to have gloves on too, right, as they're searching, because they don't want to get dirty or germs or whatever. And they might run their fingers through your mouth like that to, again, see if you have any drugs. Sometimes people keep razor blades inside of here, You could easily tuck a little razor blade down in there or in your cheeks somewhere, or definitely drugs. Like, you have some drugs inside of a little plastic bag or something. You could easily tuck in there. So yeah, so they'll run their hand through your mouth. And another thing they'll do is tell you to squat and cough. And so you literally bend down or bend over and, squat, and they'll tell you to cough. And so the idea with that is that if you have anything shoved up into your anal cavity, it will either push it out completely or enough for where they could see that you have something hiding in your anal cavity. I guess if it's far enough into your system, they can't find it. But that's one place the inmates will hide stuff. They'll literally put stuff in their rectum to try to hide stuff. Other people, they'll put drugs like in a little bag, a little plastic bag, and swallow them, which will eventually go through your digestive system and come out the other side undigested, in the little plastic bag. So there's all kinds of tricks. Anyhow, so this is the point of the search. Make sure you have no weapons and no drugs on you as much as they can. There's one more invasive search. I think, I guess they could x-ray you if they wanted to, but I don't know. They might have to get like a court order for that, but that's a whole different, I never really seen that done. But I assume if they wanted to, if they really thought you had something in your system, they could, ask the court if they could x-ray you, and which would probably show if you had something in your stomach. Anyhow, that's the first part of intake. You go in there, they search you down, and once that's all done, they'll give you the jail clothes. And in California, the general population jail color is orange, so you'll get an orange jumpsuit. Okay, so you put on your orange jumpsuit, and then they part of the intake process, they'll ask you questions of like, because they want to know the proper place to house you. So like, say you're part of a gang, right? Let's say you're a black person part of a gang. They'll say, what gang you're from. Because say you're a black blood, they don't want to put you in with a Crip because you may, fight or kill each other. Or if you're from a certain Hispanic gang, and you might fight with another Hispanic gang, something like that, right? But in California, it's very segregated. So if you're white, you're going to be housed with a white person. If you're black, you're going to be housed with a black person, Hispanic person, etc., right? So you go in there, let's just say you're a white guy, and you're like, yeah, I want to be housed with another white person. And so they'll either send you to a cell or a dorm. A cell is a small concrete room about the size of a small bathroom that has usually 2 bunk beds in it, a toilet and a sink, maybe a little cubby depending on where you go. Okay, and then a dorm room is like a large gymnasium type area where there's a bunch of bunk beds, like a 2-man bunk beds, maybe, I don't know, 50, 30, something like that, I don't remember. And so you either, if you're higher security, they want to put you in a cell to keep you more secure, if you're, I don't know, a murderer or something like that. And if you're lower security, say you just got caught with drugs or something, they might send you to a dorm. So you go through all this intake process, they find out who you are. If you're male, you go with other male inmates. If you're female, you go with female inmates. If you're a juvenile, you go with juvenile inmates, all these things, right? And so you'll go to your respective housing area, either cell or dorm. And the first thing you'll do, you'll look for your cell or your bed. You go in there, and then you start to get acquainted with people. Like I said, if you're a white guy, you're gonna want to hook up with the other white people. Now the segregation thing is kind of the idea behind it is a protection thing. So say you're a white guy, right, and some black guy tries to pick a fight with you, steal something from you, whatever, right? The idea is that other white people will join in and help you. So you're a white guy, some black guy tries to do something to you, the other white people will jump in and help you, either fighting or whatever, okay? And the opposite is true too. If you're a black person and some white guy tries to mess with you, other black people will potentially jump in and help that black guy. Same with Hispanics, whatever. So that's the idea. It's kind of a protection thing. It's like, obviously, okay, you're in there, you gotta understand, you're in there with a bunch of known criminals. Everybody in there is criminal, except, okay, maybe 1 or 2 people are innocent, but it's pretty rare. Virtually everybody in there is a criminal. So bad things are potentially going to happen. People are going to, I have seen thieves. People try to steal stuff out of your cubby, or whatever. People will steal stuff from you, or try to pick a fight with you, or whatever. Bad things happen. You're around a bunch of criminals, bad people, and so you want to hook up with some people for protection. And so that's kind of the whole racial segregation thing. And so you go in there, you're white or black or whatever, and you start communicating with your people. You might ask them what the rules are, the inmate rules. Okay, so there's guard rules like, oh, you can't go into this area, or showers are this time, or you eat at this time, or there's no smoking, or there's only smoking over here in this section, or whatever. There's guard rules, there's jail rules, and there's inmate rules, like I said, because it's racially segregated. It's like, oh, okay, well, if you're white or Hispanic, then you're not allowed to eat meals with black people. You're not allowed to sit at the same table with black people. You're not allowed to shower with black people, right? Because a lot of times the showers aren't by themselves. You don't get a one-man shower. Sometimes it's the case, depends, again, on the jail. But a lot of times in jail or prison, it's communal showers. So they'll have, say 4 or 5 shower heads, and several people will go in there at one time and shower together. But if you're a white guy, you're not allowed to be showering with black people. You'll shower with a few other white guys. Again, if you're Hispanic, you'll shower with Hispanics. So yeah, so you go in there and you ask your people, because every jail, every prison is different, whatever, you might ask, hey, what are the local rules? What are the rules of this dorm? The rules can even vary from dorm to dorm, jail to jail, everything. And so you ask, what's the rules? Because you don't want to get caught up in something, violate one of the inmate rules, and get beat up or killed or whatever. Okay? So you do that, you find out, where your bunk's at or where your cell's at. You'll put your stuff in there. The officers will generally give you small, I don't want to say utensils, what's the word? Like toothbrush, towel, toothpaste, bar soap, stuff like that. I forget what the word is. Small things like that, right? And so you go put that stuff in your cell or whatever. So you get to go on with your program. And then somebody would tell you, either guards or the inmates, they'll tell you, hey, this is what time we eat. Meals are always on a scheduled time period. Like maybe 7 o'clock in the morning is when they'll bring breakfast in. And in jail, they'll generally bring breakfast into the dorm area or the cell area. And so, yeah, say 7 in the morning is breakfast. And then 12 o'clock is lunch. And then around 5 o'clock is dinner. So you'll find out all these little things about, your local jail, right? And so the basic construction of the jail is the dorm that you're in, whether it's cells or the dorm living, is you'll have one part where all either the cells or the bunk beds are, right, where you sleep at. And then there would be another open area, somewhat open area, where there's little tables. And these are the tables that you eat at during chow time or whatever. And then when you're not eating, and it's called a day room. And then when you're not eating, and they let you out in the day room, you can go in there and, play cards, play dominoes. A lot of times they'll have a TV in there, one TV for all the inmates to watch, 1 or 2 TVs. So there's the area for sleeping, and then the dorm area connected to it that, you partake in your daily activities. Sometimes guys work out in there, so on and so forth. So, so every day, you wake up and you just start going, you develop a program. You wake up and, maybe you wake up as soon as they call for chow. They'll say, usually the guards will say, hey, it's chow time, line up on the wall or whatever. And then they'll give you a little tray of food. And, you go sit down again at the table with your respective race, and you'll eat. And then, they'll have inmate helpers. They'll come in and they'll gather all the trays, and they'll take them to go get cleaned or whatever. And then after that, if you have to go to court on that day, the cops will come, the officers will come get you and take you to court and so on and so forth. And that's the back and forth process. So again, you're sitting there waiting in the jail, basically to go to court. And when you're not in court, you sit in your cell or in the dorm room, Doing small things, like I said, playing cards, playing chess, playing dominoes, watching TV, or sitting in your cell or sitting on your bunk. Sometimes guys draw or just sit there on their bunk. Just sit there and think about what's going on, think about their case. Some guys read law books to try to, if they're trying to fight their own case or whatever, right? And you just do that over and over. And so generally, I think court runs Monday through Friday, probably no holidays either. And so on the weekend, you just do your little program. Like I said, you wake up, you eat, play cards, work out, whatever you do. And then Monday comes, they're like, okay, you got to go to court. And so I don't want to go through all that, the court process, in one video. Maybe I'll do that in another video, because that's a whole thing. They'll have, the officers will have a list of names of people who are going to court that day, and you get up really early for court, before chow, like 5 o'clock in the morning, and then they end up giving you like sandwiches later, but they'll get you up really early in the morning, and they'll take you out of your living area. They'll chain you up, put you on a secure bus, and take you to court. You will be in a holding cell there, waiting for your name to be called. They'll take you in. It's a whole process. That's a whole other thing, and that's jail. That's what jail's about, and while you're there, you try to follow the rules, not piss anybody off, obviously. My cousin, he was actually locked up before me, so prior to 2000, and one thing he told me once he found out that I got locked up, very simple. He told me, keep your eyes and ears open and your mouth shut as much as possible. Basically, pay attention to your surroundings, big time, because remember, you're around a bunch of criminals, period, right? So be very, aware of your surroundings, people walking behind you, all that kind of stuff, right? And don't run your mouth so much, because that could get you into trouble. You start talking smack, you might think you're a badass or something. Well, someone might show you that they're more badass than you, So, yeah, that's jail. It sucks. And at the jail I was at, the food portions were pretty small. I mean, something that we would give to like an elementary school kid. Like for breakfast, I remember we'd get like a tiny little portion of scrambled eggs, like the ones like the egg beaters or whatever. It's just, you just mix water with it, a little bit of eggs, some potatoes, probably bread, I don't remember, and then they'll usually give you like a milk every morning, and then maybe some hot cereal, like a little scoop of oatmeal or some hot rice cereal or something like that, but really small portions, very small portions. And that's jail. So thank you for watching, and please continue to watch my videos, and I'll talk more about different things in jail.